Use your whole brain. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, what does right brain versus left brain mean? This is a game-changing concept that I want you to understand no matter what you do, because many people choose to just go into left brain decision-making or right brain decision-making. It's best if you use your whole brain. So my name's Doug Andrew, and I've been helping people understand how to optimize their financial assets and minimize taxes for more than 45 years. But I learned something through the process. When I would have people come, let's say a married couple, many times one in the couple, most generally maybe a husband, would make decisions maybe more logically. Now, not always. Sometimes the wife would, a woman would. But many times a man would say, well, I make my decisions based upon the numbers, the logic, the math. And when I would tell stories, sometimes they would get impatient and they would go in a seminar, Doug, Mr. Andrew, when are we going to get to the meat? And I would go, well, we're right in the middle of it. But the meat to a left brain person is the numbers, the math, the logic. They make their decisions from their mind, from logic. Whereas maybe their spouse made their decisions more from the heart, from emotion, the right brain. So when I would tell stories or use metaphors, they would go, oh, I get it. You're telling me a story on how this works. And so that's the right brain person. They learn by emotion and by the stories. But when I'm telling a story, then the left brain people would check out on me. When I'm telling the facts and the numbers and showing a chart and a graph, the right brain people just sort of go to sleep and they nudge their partner and go, tell me when he tells another story. Okay? Well, I have learned that if you do not employ your whole brain, your right brain and your left brain, you're missing out on half of life. And I'll explain why. When you're using your whole brain, the right brain and left brain, you are learning or teaching high concepts, okay? That might be the logic, the left brain. High concepts coupled with high touch, with stories, examples, that is the right brain. Then you will help more people get it. So for example, when my wife, Sherry, and I were raising our 6 children, many times our children would come to their mother, Sherry, for an answer to a question because they knew Dad would give them a right brain answer. In other words, they might come to their mother for a financial question. And she would go, well, why don't you go ask your father? I mean, people come from all over America, all over the world, and read his books on what to learn to do with their money. Why don't you go ask your dad? And our kids would say, because we don't want to know that much about it. They knew that if they came to Dad, I'd go, oh, and I would give them this long story and everything like this, but how to do this, and they just didn't want to know that much about it. They wanted the bottom line, and they knew that their mother understood how they felt. They just wanted the car keys. Okay? They just wanted their allowance early instead of this whole long lesson. So we began to learn how to teach and relate to our children, and then later our grandchildren, with both right brain and left brain. Because if your grandchild comes to you and they think that all you ever do is go, come on, let's think through this logically, maybe they don't make their decisions always logically, so they don't relate. So pretty soon they don't come to you anymore, Grandpa. They go to Grandma. She understands how I feel. She'll tell me a story about when she was their age or whatever. And so they go to the parent that will give them the answer, the assurance that they want. And so I've learned that in order to reach more people, I needed to teach high concepts, which I've taught my entire life, with high touch. I need to interweave it with stories, examples, and metaphors, and all of a sudden, I'm able to relate to more people. But many times, I've had to tell my audiences, hey, I can tell by your body language whether you're more right brain or left brain. So when you're checking out on me because I'm telling a story, don't check out. I want you to listen to the story. Why? That's not how you like to learn, but you better listen to the story so that when you turn around and teach a child or a grandchild this, you need to be able to teach this concept not just with logic, but with emotion. And then you'll be able to relate, and you will have a richer relationship with everybody else. You can't believe how many doctors, dentists, and so forth, when I taught this concept, went, Doug, I have been turning away most of my patients, my customers. Hello, I remember this orthodontist. No wonder it's usually the mother that came in, and a lot of times the women want to know or make the decision on which orthodontist to use based upon how they feel. And the orthodontist just thought, well, everybody makes decisions with logic like I do, right? No, they make decisions by the way they feel. They didn't feel understood. And so when I begin to tell them, no, you need to tell a story or use a metaphor, all of a sudden they had 80-90% of the people come and engage with them because the mother of the teenager that needed the braces go, ooh, I like this orthodontist. They get it. They understand what I'm concerned about, and they gave me an example, a story to illustrate this. When you use high concepts coupled with high touch, you will gather in far more customers, relationships. You'll attract more of your children, your grandchildren, clients, customers by learning this dynamic concept of right brain and left brain. And I'm going to show you how I do this in my books. So I'm a financial author. About every other book that I write has to do with financial asset optimization, tax minimization, how to retire and not outlive your money. But the other half of my books have to do with abolishing entitlement mindset, how to have family vacations with a purpose, how to have grandpa's camp, how to teach responsibility and accountability. I authored a book called Learning Curves, Life Lessons Learned While Riding a Harley-Davidson Motorcycle. It doesn't matter what books that I've written that you may read, you will find there are right brain, left brain concepts. In fact, usually every chapter heading has a right brain title and a left brain subtitle, okay? So for example, in my second best-selling book, Misfortune 101, the title of the first chapter was, All the Dogs Barking Up the Wrong Tree Doesn't Make It the Right One. That's right brain. That appeals to the right brain. The subtitle was, Why Sending Extra Principal Payments to the Mortgage Company to Get Out of Debt and Putting Money in Tax-Deferred IRAs and 401ks is Counterintuitive. You're going down the highway with one foot on the gas pedal and the other foot on the brake pedal. Now see, I've used a couple of metaphors there, but see, you're appealing to both the left brain thinkers and the right brain thinkers. So in my most recent book called The Laser Fund, it's actually two books in one. This one has 14 chapters, 200 pages, with all the charts and graphs and explanations that the left brain decision makers like. But if you're a right brain person, which about half of my clientele was, they were checking out on me unless I told stories. So you flip the book over and read this one, 100 pages, 12 chapters that have 62 actual client stories. And then I encourage them to use their whole brain and read both. And it's a total of 300 pages, but it's high concepts coupled with high touch. You can get a free copy of this by going to laserfund.com. You pay $5.95 shipping and handling, and I'll send one out to you free. If you want to see how I do right brain, left brain in this book, Entitlement Abolition, same thing, go to entitlementabolitionbook.com, pay $5.95 for the shipping and handling. I'll pay for the book and send it out to you free. But the concept is this. If you use logic, you'll be secure. If you use logic with your clients and customers, you'll be secure. If you use emotion, you will be wealthy. You must couple the emotion with the logic in order to become wealthy. How do you use emotion? You get into their world. It's not about you. See, this isn't about me. This is about you. It's about them, your clients and customers. It's about your kids and grandkids. It's not about you. And as you get into their world and what keeps them up at night and what they're concerned about and what worries them, then you begin to be sincerely interested in helping them. You help lift others up. Okay, you've got to be on higher ground to lift others up. But when you do that and they think clearer when they're with you, then you will have the greatest practice, whatever you do. You'll be the greatest grandparent, but it's understanding how to communicate and relate to them by being interested and communicating in the way that they understand, using right brain coupled with left brain, high concepts coupled with high touch.